This is a How Is He podcast with Podge and Popa, proudly sponsored by Amplify. Power up your podcast. Let's kick it off.
Welcome back to the How Is He podcast, as I'm joined by my new co-host, Shannon Boss Bitch Redmond.
Yeah, don't be starting rumours. I'm not actually your new co-host.
She's a legend. And she's better looking than Podge as well, I must say.
Just in for today. I took a seat for what? I wasn't even waiting to take a seat, to be honest with you.
Well, you're delighted?
Yeah. Didn't have to ask me twice, did you?
No.
Straight in like a rocket.
Open the door and push me in, Shannon did, yeah.
He's actually not even out at all.
No.
I didn't tell him we were recording.
We have him handcuffed to the radiator outside.
Oops.
Welcome, Shannon, and we're in here in a fantastic facility that is the Amplify Studios right here in the heart of Carlow Town. This episode is brought to you by Carroll Estimating, the go-to team for contractors, subcontractors, suppliers and manufacturers who want accurate and competitive project pricing. Visit carrollestimating.ie or find them on your favourite social platforms. This week's guest is none other than the famous Eimear Ní Bhraonáin. Journalist and all-around media pro, Eimear Ní Bhraonáin is the best-selling author of The Dodger. She has years of experience across print, radio and TV, is a familiar face in Ireland AM and now runs a media consultancy while training teams all over the country called Eimear.ie. Delighted to welcome Eimear Ní Bhraonáin.
Thanks a million, Popa, and thanks, Shannon. I think you'll be rebranding the podcast soon. But how is she? I was wondering, why is it?
I'm outnumbered here tonight.
I'm just putting it in slowly. I came in, then I brought Eimear, and I was like, they might
be
pick
careful
up eventually.
now. There's very few sanctuaries left for men in this country.
Is there? Okay,
I'm telling
right.
you.
I'll tell them
Protect it with your life there.
I'll stay behind the microphone there. How are you?
I'm great.
How's
good
life?
form. Life is really good. Yeah.
Kept busy?
It's actually not busy right now, which is good because I'm used to it being bananas. So January has been nice and quiet and I haven't been stressing myself out, kind of taking it easy, easing back into the year, lots of planning and time to I love putting together something for the year to know what exactly, a calendar nearly for the whole year. So doing all the boring stuff, the housekeeping, but it has to be done.
Do you break it in quarters? Do you just like in regards of a schedule?
I kind of break it into nearly events and things that are happening. So sometimes they fall in quarters. Sometimes I get too overwhelmed, so I just go month by month.
Yeah, you're really better off, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I don't want to look too far into the future.
Don't plan too far down the road.
That's it.
Now, Eimear, your quiet though is a normal person's busy.
Oh, is it?
Eimear's an absolute workhorse. It's actually frightening at some stages. So I can imagine her quiet isn't exactly too quiet, truth be said.
No.
Well, it's second gear anyway.
Yeah.
It's all right. But it's nice to. I'm based in Hackettstown these days, so big difference for a townie, even though it mightn't seem like it's not that far from Carlow Town. But the office is in Hackettstown, and I live not too far from there in Tankerstown. So we moved out there a few years ago. But definitely in the winter, I find it's tough for somebody who loved going to the shop for the paper.
It's
and
totally
walking
different,
home, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I am a purebred townie.
Yeah.
I was actually born in Carlow Town, even one of the last babies in the hospital, I'd say, there
in
the town, yeah. And just steeped in town life and love it.
It takes a while to adjust, doesn't it?
It does. Now, there's great advantages to living somewhere rural, and especially in the summer, you look out the window, countryside's amazing. There's much more space. The house is great. All those things. But yeah, sometimes you miss the town, the buzz of the town.
A boo wouldn't charge you too much for dropping groceries to the door, would you? You're a postman.
Oh, I tell you, he's an absolute legend. I'm so happy we're giving Farron Fish the shout out.
Oh, yeah, he's a good
I'm
lad.
sure he listens in the whole time
sure
as well.
Does, yeah.
So thanks for putting up with me, Boo, and for looking at me in my dressing gown sometimes. Poor
I'm
guy
sure he's delighted.
with the bad hair day and everything. He never judges, he'd never notice a thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I always think about country houses? Because I love them when I'm driving by them, right? And I'm like, I'd love to live there. But I'm always like, there's no takeaways nearby. Like, how do you get to deliver to your
Well,
house?
you save money on that, actually, because that's one thing Alan would know. I'd often have a hankering for a spice bag, especially if I'd had a glass of wine now or anything. Yeah. But once I moved out, there's none of that.
Healthy eating.
And also it's gone much harder to get a taxi home. So you need a plan, and generally one of you is always sober, the designated driver, or little things like that. So,
but you learn to enjoy things by not being...
You do?
Having a few drinks as well, Like
absolutely.
It's not all about having been drunk or whatever,
No,
so
and
I found that the hard way. And I don't live too far out of town, but I wouldn't be able to walk to. Well, I walk to the shop, but it take me 25 minutes or half an hour.
Yeah.
And I sort of get in the schedule now where I go, if I'm going home for the night now. I'm not coming back out. So
That's
whatever I have
it.
to get, I get.
I
you know that
didn't
way?
know. That's funny because
Yeah.
I didn't realise that about country life. I always wondered why, when I started going out with Alan, he used to always say, I was living in Great Cullen at the time, and he'd always say, do you want anything on the way home? I was like, what does he mean? From
Yeah,
the shop, because
I
it's
know.
something that country
Yeah.
people say
Yeah,
to each other.
yeah.
Do you want that on the way
Yeah.
home?
Just shop across
But
the road.
now
What's
I
wrong with
know
him?
what he means, because once you move out, it's kind of,
Yeah.
you know, it's only 10 minutes into Tullow, or a little bit less even, but it's over 20 minutes, nearly 25 minutes into Carlow.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get it now. So
Yeah.
when he rings
Makes
me
more
now, I'm
sense
like,
when you're in
yeah, I need milk,
Yeah.
I need a paper, I need this, I need that. Yeah.
Eimear, before we get into everything, right? Because I don't think I ever asked you this. And I worked with you for years, okay, before any of this. But it was something I was always curious about, okay? Obviously, I know you're a big Gaeilgeoir, right? And you love the Gaeilge. But it always interested me that your name is in Irish, and that was kind of your brand name as such, as Eimear Ní Bhraonáin. What kind of put you to go into the Irish? Now, I understand it myself, because on my social media, I am Shannon Nick Reamoinn. Yeah, little plug it there. Shannon Nick Reamoinn. So I understand, but that was simply because I just liked the Irish a little bit. And Irish is kind of cool again now. But yours as well before the Irish became cool again. I think everyone's trying to hop on the Irish trend now.
Yeah.
So what was that?
Well, since the time I went to the Gael School,
Yeah.
since I was 4 years old, that's always been my name. And you know, even learning how to write your name, and my name on all my little books, kind of when I was growing up and everything, when I look back, as soon as I was able to write, my name was always Ní Bhraonáin. And I think that just comes from going to the Gael School and then on to the Gael Coláiste. And I know you came through that system as well. But I think Irish, not just the language, but we got a really good education on music, on culture, on stories, the history of Ireland, all of that, because we just had teachers that were so kind of well up on different aspects of Irish history. And I think that I just really identified with it.
Yeah.
So, And I'd actually would get annoyed sometimes when family members would say, oh, you're Eimear Brennan, which is funny because I think as a child I always thought, no, I'm Eimear Ní Bhraonáin, because that was always my name in school.
Yeah. No, I thought it
It
was
doesn't
deadly.
even sound right now.
No.
Eimear Brennan. Does it?
Like,
You're
who's
just known
she?
as Eimear Ní Bhraonáin.
That's it. But
There's not enough people know their own language. though. I'm one. I wouldn't. It has to go to the toilet in Irish. That's it.
But I think
It is-
it was
it's a
hard
sin.
for a lot of people in school,
Yeah.
and I'd see that, and I'd find that in my own family, people that had a really bad experience, a really negative experience. Like, I was blessed. I was so lucky because every experience I've had with Irish has been so good. It's opened doors for me. It's helped me get jobs. It's helped me get kind of, you know, that gives you something extra, especially in the media. And Shannon, you'll know that if it's down to a job between yourself and somebody else, if you have Irish, you have an edge. And
It's a big feather in your cap, isn't it?
it's good. It's good. And I think it broadens your, I think any language does that for you.
Yeah.
It broadens your thinking. So I spent time in France on Erasmus as well, and I loved speaking French, even though I really haven't used it since I was there. So I was flying it when I was in Toulouse. There was a big rugby scene there, actually.
Right.
Trevor Brennan had a pub
Yeah.
there and in the city centre. And there was loads of Irish that would have gone over and all that. And I was in this place, the EUT, was an institute, like an institute of technology really over there, studying communications. And it was fantastic, but I had to do it all through French. So the exams were tough, but the crack was mighty. So I met a girl over there one day. I was on my own because all the students would have picked maybe America or Australia, or when I was in DCU for Erasmus. But I just thought there was something, again, the culture of France. I love how proud they are of their language. I love how they won't speak another language with you. They let you, with your poor French, kind of muddle through. And there was something about that. I was like, fair play to them. They really
Do you
love
think
their
it affects
culture.
tourism? By people knowing that before they go, I'm not going there, they won't adapt to anybody else's language, sort of.
It might, but I feel like the French don't care. And
Right.
I really like that about them, that they're so proud of the culture. And if you get to know them, actually, they're really warm people. But it takes a while, and the sense of humour and everything. So when I was, when I arrived at Toulouse, the accommodation, oh my God, I remember thinking it looked like Ballymun in the sun. There were these tower blocks and apartments, but it was only €30 a week to stay there. Whereas in Dublin, it was about €120 a week at the time for accommodation. So the difference was massive. So I didn't mind where I was living. I said, she's sure, like, I'm going to save a fortune. I'm going to have great crack. Because I generally would be very sociable. And I was walking along past at the time, no, there wasn't really mobile phones. So a phone box, and there was a girl there with white legs. So I suspected she might have been Irish. And she was saying, can I swear on the podcast? I think you do sometimes. Ma, it's a fucking desert. And she was crying. So I waited outside the phone box for her. And her name was Elaine. She was from Westport. And we had a great chat. And then I met up with her and another girl who was working in an Irish bar from Cavan. And the three of us ended up having a blast. So best experience ever. And again, just being open to language, you know, and then just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Did you do the Gaeltacht?
I did the Gaeltacht,
How was that?
I nearly got thrown out of the Gaeltacht actually for one leg in, one leg out of the bedroom window. Now, thankfully, the one leg in just about kept me in, but some of my friends actually were sent home from the Gaeltacht because it was one of our last nights and there was a little farewell party for one of the lads. And people seemingly did this all the time, the Gaeltacht, but of course our group got nabbed. But I was one that didn't try.
Strict,
It was really strict.
Banontees are very strict.
Ah, yeah.
Are they, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, I was harmless. I wasn't, didn't drink until I was 18. You know, it was more the crack in the gallery and meeting up with a few of them and having a laugh.
Fear of missing out nearly,
That's
isn't
it.
Yeah.
That's it. We were really innocent when I think about it now. Like, there was no TikTok or no sending nude snaps to each other or anything like that. It was really, really harmless. Yeah, it was like eyeing each other at opposite ends of the room at the Cayley. So, yeah.
Remember the Cayley?
The Cayley.
I remember the
Yeah.
Cayley.
Let's go back to the start. You had such a stellar career in media and journalism. Was this always what you saw yourself doing?
No. So I didn't know I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be a writer first. So maybe about 9 or 10, I found old notebooks where I had read Anne Frank's diary and read some books and thought, I'm going to be a writer and I'm going to travel the world. Now I'd kind of forgotten about that. That was something that I would have thought about maybe in primary school. Then move on to secondary school. I didn't know. I had a great interest in history, in current affairs, in politics. But I didn't know that was a great fit, like a natural fit for journalism. Loved reading the paper. There was always kind of, my mother would be interested in news. There'd always be newspapers around. My granny as well. My late grandmother, she would have always bought the Nationalist dot. And then my other granny and granddad would always have had the radio on. So it would have been CKR that time. The deaths would be blaring at 8 a.m.
It's nearly a pastime for people when they retire, isn't it?
Oh, surely
Follow
is.
funerals and listen to the
That's
new
it.
deaths. And
I loved all the stories. I loved especially my father's dad. I called him Dad, Jack, my granddad. He was a great man for his yarns, you know, and my granny would be telling him, shut up, Jack. But I loved listening to him and she'd say, oh, you know, he's telling his stories or whatever, but he'd be telling me about, he'd say, driving on the continent and talking about exotic places to me when I was a child in the Middle East and all sorts, because he was a small farmer, kind of just after he retired more so, dabbling in a bit of farming and renting land, and he had a tractor out the back, but he would have worked in the sugar factory for Armour Salmon for years.
Yeah.
So that's what brought him abroad. So they'd have to install machines and, you know, fix them and make sure they were running properly. So he was describing being in Iran and describing all these interactions with Arabs and walking in the desert. And sure, I didn't know, geez, did this actually happen or what happened? But it did, and his stories were fantastic. And actually, all of that had a massive impact on what I was going to do, because I loved just keep my eyes and ears open, what's happening. And I don't mean even international news. I love local. I love knowing what's going on all around me and how that can have a universal meaning. So Carlow Sugar, for instance, like was a massive local story, the closure of the sugar factory in Carlow, the impact on the town. But there was an international context to that as well. The sugar industry across Europe, what was happening with that, the impact on the farmers in Thurles, the impact on the farmers all over the country. So I was there when the workers clocked out for the last time, and I was still a student, and I actually made a radio documentary about the closure of Carlow Sugar. Yeah, it's in the library still. Now I sound like I'm about 9 in the recording, and it's available. Someone uploaded it. It's online somewhere. But why I think it was really important, and I'm glad that I did it, and my grandfather helped me with that, with the sound effects even. We were in his shed and he was banging and making sounds, trying to, because back then it wasn't as easy.
No.
The tech that we have now is
Yeah.
so much better. I had like a mini disc recorder with a mic plugged in. I had to make the sound effects. I had to get somebody to follow me up to Carlo on the fiddle, because it wasn't easy to record from. There was no Spotify or
Yeah.
anything like that. So everything was original that was in the documentary. But I loved putting the whole story together, and I felt like it needed to be recorded then, because it was called What Have We Lost? Because I knew at the time we were losing something really.
But it was
that had a
actually
bigger
iconic,
meaning.
that sugar factory. Like the smell of the tractors or the beat on it up, on the going to school, and then your brawn and lapple before it. But the sugar factory just had the smell. I
Yeah.
remember carrying when I was a chap in Carlow and looking down at the sugar factory then, and all you have now is just the tower that's left.
That's it.
Yeah,
And going to school, I'd smell.
You smell it?
The smell,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. For people in Kilkenny, it'd be the hops with Smiddix, with the beer.
Yeah.
In Carlow, it was the
sugar
sugar
factory,
beet.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's such a distinctive smell, and it's kind of part of our childhood as well. But it's funny, I kind of laughed to myself, because I think everyone thinks we're absolutely obsessed with the sugar factory and the sugar industry
Yeah.
in Carlow. Why don't we get over it and everything? So I can imagine people saying, but we've so much, we've loads of stuff. But that was just one thing that kind of connected me with journalism, I suppose, as well,
Yeah.
because I was listening to the grandfather's stories. And then I was looking for ideas for a documentary for my project for college. And then that all came about. And then subsequently, a lot of the people who talked to me, they were older men, and they died since. So even to have their voice on a recording, talking about a little piece of history, and there wasn't much documented about it. Like, there was one book when I went looking that was published in the 70s on the history of the sugar beet industry in Ireland, but there wouldn't be a huge amount on the
Yeah.
social history of the place and all that.
The campaign was 12 or 14 weeks or something, wasn't it? Lads used to work for just that length of time.
It was intense, like, it was insane.
Really intense, yeah. There's a lot of people did it around the town. But even go back to your grandfather's stories, like, I don't think when we were that age, we'd ever think we'd get out for him.
Yeah.
No, you genuinely didn't. You were sitting there going, wow, he's after travelling the whole world. I can only get as far as Courtown on a good day, or Tramore.
Yeah.
That's as good as it was.
Or
There's
the
no such
Burn
thing
was
as-
like the Costa
Yeah.
del Sol in the,
The Burn,
summer.
yeah, yeah.
So I'd swim in the River Burn and that when we were growing
So
up.
you were beside it, weren't you?
It was amazing.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
such a lovely childhood. So when I
Yeah.
was about 8, we moved to what we would call at the time the road where all the Brennans lived.
Yeah,
in
there's enough of them
Carlow.
there anyway.
It was nearly all Brennans at one
Yeah.
stage, bar a few houses. Now it's completely changed. In the last 25 years, once the Fairgreen was built and some of the estates were built, and like there's great progress as well, because that's what happens in a town centre. Like, a town expands. But we had the best of all worlds, because when I think about it, so up until I was 8, we grew up in Springfield Drive, which was also lovely, but at the back of the youth centre
Back at the
there.
youth centre, yeah.
Lovely neighbours, really nice place.
It's quite place too, isn't
It
it?
was lovely and quiet, but we went from there to the Burn, and the Burn road was like a windy, narrow road, like a laneway with ditches with blackberries in them in the summer and all that on both sides of the road. You'd have to beep the horn going around the corner so you wouldn't hit somebody. It was so narrow, it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
So different from what it is now. My grandparents lived at the end of that road, where the railway line
Millview.
was. That's it.
Yeah.
So I found, like, if you imagine being 8 or 9, being able to walk into your grandparents' back door and wander up and down the lane, and little stories, like, again, all of them nearly involving my grandfather. He brought my sister Sinead with her communion money, and with our cousin Georgie, who's a bit of a character. He runs the Mal pub in Collection.
yeah.
So Georgie got us big into the horses, and sure, we were not a horsey family at all. Do you know what I mean? We weren't like the very posh horse riders
No.
with the helmets and the backpacks and
Yeah.
all of that. So Asher, I'm not sure, was it Georgie or my grandfather, but somebody did a deal anyway, and Sinead's communion money might have been used, and we got a Shetland pony. So my mother was like not
Pleasure.
impressed,
Introduced.
because this horse would keep breaking out of the field, and she was so clever. She knew where our bedroom was, and we'd wake up and she'd have trampled through the garden, and her head would be
In the window.
in the window. And I think about it now, and I think, like, we've the best memories with that little pony.
Yeah.
And she was nearly like a dog. She was like a pet, That that was kind of in the early days. And like we grew out of the horses and the horse riding, as you do as you get a bit older. But it's only thinking back now, like I really appreciate it. But it must have been hard work for everybody involved.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah.
But going back to the love for the stories, to start with your granddad, and that's how it kind of led you into journalism, right? Something I found a lot about the news, because I tried doing news. News wasn't for me. And I think a main part of it was a lot of bad news. You get very rare you'll have good news stories. And you will have the odd ones, but not huge ones. How is that? How did you find that? Because you had a massive career in journalism. How did you find the really tough stories? How did you balance that out for yourself?
Being honest, I didn't. And I think that if you're going to be very committed to it, you don't really get the balance right. So you become quite obsessive about it. Now, the lovely thing about local be that, like I spent a good chunk of my life in the local radio, as you know, and spent some time in the local papers as well. There's a better balance there because, as you know from the papers, you get to cover everything from, you know, and there's always a bit of gallery, even in among the dark days and the tough stories in the court. There'll always be a light moment, or there'll always be some character, you know, lighting a cigarette on the steps of the courthouse and he'll have a funny word for you, or you get to know some of the people and you have to kind of observe life, people from all walks of life. You have to be professional, you have to be respectful, you have to see it maybe from the point of view of the person that's on the other side of the law as well as the law itself. You have to speak to the Gardaí, the inspectors. So you kind of need to have a bird's eye view and need to be able to talk to everybody. So the one thing you try and be, if you can, is just to be sound. And to keep an open mind and to stay curious always and ask questions, because I find that helps me to listen, because I'm a terrible yapper, so if I'm asking questions I am listening better, I'm getting information on someone's situation and maybe it's going to shed more light on it for everybody else, because sometimes everyone because we all have different experiences, we assume something. So just want to be careful, because sometimes things aren't as they seem and people have different experiences and life takes different turns. And I find that really interesting. So with the bad news, actually, sometimes it's not, I don't really always see it as bad news. Sometimes I see it as really important too. I feel like something's happening and people need to know about it.
Yeah.
So it could be, for instance, as simple as, if a reporter didn't sit at the back of that council meeting, would we know about a certain vote? And would we know that people voted a certain way? Or could we be hoodwinked? You know, so democracy is important. And I know it's not for everyone, sitting at the back of the council meeting, and I'm definitely always was a bit nerdy. And I realised, like, look, it's not interesting for everybody, but I think a journalist can certainly explain a complicated issue, and maybe in a way that's relevant to their listener, their reader, and you can make it interesting as well. And I don't mean you don't exaggerate it or anything like that. I just mean it can be the language used is very dull sometimes, and it's all policy and strategic stuff. And it's like being a translator. It's like language again. Can you simplify the message so that, and it's not dumbing it down, it's making it, the story, accessible to everybody, including people. Maybe the radio was great for that, because you reach people who can't read. If you're writing for a newspaper, they're not in your audience, and that seems a little bit unfair or elitist. So nice.
You wouldn't think of it like that at all, would you?
Yeah, that's the thing about radio. The amount of people with disability that would have listened to KCLR or to any radio station, a massive chunk of the population, people with disabilities, maybe literacy issues, different things that prevent people from being able to buy the paper. Sometimes they're in institutions, sometimes they can't afford it, don't understand it, whatever it is. So the radio can break down those barriers.
Yeah.
Same with the podcast, like that. These are things, even though my first love was definitely writing, I had a buzz for all of that, but I realised afterwards, actually, it's more about your story. And the more people that understand your story and the further your story travels, the better. So it doesn't matter how you do that. That's why I'm never fussy about, you know, some people just stay in their lane. They'll just do radio. They won't do the paper. They won't do... It doesn't matter to me if it's TV, if it's podcast, if it's radio, whatever it is. It's about the story. It's the story.
Did Veronica Guerin have any impact on your career? And like, I mean, like as a powerful woman.
Um,
Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? Like, did you get a fright? Obviously, you'd say, geez, that's not the career I want. Even though I'd like to do it, but look what happened to her.
I probably should have got a fright, but I didn't really, to be honest with you, Papa, because I was young when Veronica Guerin was murdered. And so say when I was really starting out in journalism, it's the first time I did any kind of work, I suppose, in journalism would have been, say, from 2001 on. I was taking a real interest in it.
What's that, 5
I was
years
starting,
after nearly? Yeah.
starting freelancing and all that. So I would have been in school when that happened. So certainly I was aware who she was, and I was aware of her work, but it was more afterwards, we'd say.
Yeah.
That I was processing it more and thinking about it. Paul Williams would have been on the radar a lot more now for me.
Yeah.
And even when I was working in
crime correspondent, wasn't he?
That's it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I remember like death threats against him, and he had, and I knew him as well, like professionally, because I worked in a newspaper group, and he would have been friendly with the owner of the newspaper group and come to our launch and all that when I was working for The Voice. And then I interviewed him on the radio subsequently and came across him. So I would have known, like, look, crime is tough. And then as a young reporter, I was, you know, I suppose I was definitely naive, but also I was very focused on the story. And you don't think about things when you don't have, I suppose when you don't have children, you don't have a husband, you just go after the story to find out what's happening.
Well, she had a husband and children, didn't she?
She did.
She got a few warnings, in fairness. Like, the film is it, and well, you don't know whether it's an accurate description of it, but I can remember the film like the back of me. Like, I remember the Smithwick's lorry coming up,
Yeah.
the red car she was driving, the motorbike,
On the Nace dual carriageway.
the nurse is in the car
Yeah.
in the film, and I just go on the Nace dual carriageway after coming out of court and the judge let her off with a speeding fine or something. You know, it's iconic, really.
And the fearlessness in her when she doorstepped or went up to the home of John Gilligan and knocked the door.
Unbelievable, yeah.
But you do put yourself, you do sometimes put yourself maybe in positions with any story, and sometimes it's a story you don't expect, where somebody could turn on you, or you could suddenly think, well, hang on now a second, I've actually pulled into a cul-de-sac, I'm knocking a door here where a man is accused of X, Y, Z, whatever it is, and you start to think, will I be able to get out of here fast? You know, and you know, it's different now. The culture is so different to when I was working as a news reporter in my early 20s. So your news desk today would not put you in the situation that they would have put you in 20 years ago. There's no way. It's so different now.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a thing in journalism as well. It was very tough where you'd be sent to get a pickup photo. And a pickup photo is when somebody dies in tragic circumstances. Somebody has to go out and ask the family and knock the door and sympathise with the family, but ask them, can we publish a photograph back then of your daughter? So maybe the daughter was killed in a road traffic collision. I don't like calling them accidents because they're collisions, or maybe something happened, maybe somebody was murdered abroad. So you have to, as a reporter, somebody, especially pre-social media. So these days, a lot of the papers will just go online and they'll find a photograph and they'll find a way of verifying that it is that person. But we're talking about the early days of social media. So that was the hardest thing to do, to contact a family, knock their door, stand in front of them, and then ask them to talk to you and to hear their story.
And they're grieving at the same time.
It's so horrific. But the only thing that I suppose, sometimes the story is really important. It's not just about, I know from a business point of view, I'm always aware the media is a business and the media wants to sell newspapers or to get clicks these days or whatever it is. But within that, a lot of journalists do good work and you believe in your story or what you're doing. So for instance, if somebody is murdered abroad, then a family is often left with questions and they need to put those questions to authority. So I used to think, well, if there is a way that we can meet somewhere and I could help somebody, yes, it's difficult for them to tell their story and to open up and you have to sit down with them. But if there is something I can do for them that gets maybe questions answers, gets attention, helps them maybe in terms of repatriation, or is there something that the media can do to get into the middle of that?
Right.
To do some good work there. But sometimes it's very hard, like some of those stories haunt you, especially inquests. Inquests are awful because the detail of what happened to somebody, especially if it's a young person or, you know, a child or a teenager. There's some terrible things like people who took an ecstasy tablet once, for instance. I remember a story about that, and a teenager that died. I remember the story of Nicola Furlong is a really difficult one. And Nicola was murdered in Japan, and she was attending a Nicki Minaj concert.
Oh.
And Nicola was a beautiful young girl from County Wexford. And I called down to her house and spoke to her father, Andrew Furlong. He was in a little seaside town in County Wexford, but he even had all her Easter eggs there in her bedroom waiting for her to come home. So there's stories like that stay with you, and that I often think, God, I wonder how he's getting on now. And poor Nicola, she was so innocent, she was so beautiful, and just afterwards, what happened to her and all the details that came out and all the information, you just think like, it's tough on families.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll move on. You wrote a book.
I did. I actually have two. That's my second book.
Oh, yeah.
The first one was a disaster, so we won't talk about
No, we
the
won't
first
talk
one.
about that. We'll talk about... You're the best-selling author of the book everybody knows now as The Dodger. And congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What was it about DJ Carey's story that made you feel this has to be a book?
I think it's the fact that he was such an icon. He was such a hero, and there was nobody like him. He wasn't just a hero, he was a down-to-earth, accessible hero that people could see, that people thought, geez, he's like one of us, you know. But then what intrigued me was he wasn't the person we thought he was. He isn't the person
He isn't the
we
person,
thought
yeah.
he was. He
Just
isn't.
know it wasn't about what he's proven
Yeah.
now, isn't he?
So I think when I started to hear things again, I just kept an open mind. I initially thought, poor DJ, you know, because I was always hearing things over the years. There'd always be a bit of drama around DJ. And generally, I'd be thinking, sure, God help him, maybe the business, maybe he's under pressure, maybe, you know. Because this is DJ Carey.
Yeah, it can't be him, can it? You'd be thinking. You know, that's what people were thinking, but the truth came out in the end.
Yeah, I was getting a coffee one day after coming out of Casey Laura in Red Mills, in Connolly's Red Mills, Good Badger and Dodo coffee in there.
I love Badger and Dodo.
And
It's
that's
lovely,
it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a good one. So I was dropping in there after work, or maybe it was in between work or whatever, but I heard something in there one day in the queue, and then somebody stopped me and said, you know, what's Carey at? And it was
Is this what triggered it for you?
there was a couple of things. This would have been, say, the start to me really opening my ears to what was going on.
Right.
I did not know I was writing a book at this stage, nothing like that. It was just something's going on, right? So this would have been 2022. And I thought it was about Katrina, because I had heard, you know, Katrina was under scrutiny. Paul Murphy did obviously a massive expose on Katrina. So around that time, people were talking, but they were actually talking about DJ, not Katrina.
And it's a sensitive subject because of the iconic horror he is in the county of Kilkenny. Well, even in the whole of Ireland, but especially Kilkenny. Do you attack this? Is that what you're thinking at any time? No? Or will I just...
No, I never thought that. I never thought, now, I didn't know, you see, remember I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew there was something happening and he owed a lot of money, was what I thought initially.
Right.
So I thought, sure, maybe that's something, maybe he's borrowing money. But it took a while for me to realise the cancer part, the cancer lie and the money together. So he targeted people I knew, you see, as well. So Kilkenny is so small that some of the people that he told his story to, I bet you knew some of them as well, Papa. Certainly you would know some of the people that he opened up to about cancer. He didn't necessarily get money from all of them, but a lot of people in Carlow and Kilkenny. So he was fairly prolific.
I heard a few names since the programme on the television or since the book came out. And I am familiar with them, but I'm not going to say their names, obviously, but I know them. Businessmen, proper businessmen.
Plenty people. And also there were times when he just rehearsed his story. So I know people that went out for a few holes, golf in Gorn. Even one woman I'm thinking of on her own one day. And DJ said, do you want to team up? And in the few holes, within 2 or 3 holes, he had opened up all about the cancer, said it was multiple myeloma, went into a lot of detail with her. And afterwards she said to me, God, it's terrible about DJ, you know. And he didn't ask her for money.
Okay.
So sometimes he was, I don't know, was he practicing his pitch? But he was certainly telling the story.
Without asking for the money.
Not always asking for the
Practicing
money.
to see what kind of reaction he gets without actually getting the money. Maybe, yeah.
So what was it then? So Pop asked a few minutes ago, was that something that triggered it? What was it? Was it just your accumulation of all these things you'd heard and the bit of research that you were doing, and then that went into a lot of research? Or what was it that made you say, this needs to be a story that's told? So that other people's stories.
I started kind of taking notes and meeting people.
Yeah.
So people, then I started asking, and somebody say to me, you should go up there. She has a story about DJ Carey. He asked her for money. So for instance, I went to Mag Kerwin, and Mag and Ger told me their story. And I have to say, like, now Mag was fantastic. She was very, very open. But in some cases, people were so nervous. I mean, they were terrified to talk to me. So I said, listen, I don't even know, am I doing a story on this yet? I certainly don't need to use your name. I just want to try and figure out what's going on, to see, is there anything to see here, basically. So you have to do a lot of groundwork and a lot of research first.
But there's a lot of trust involved there as well.
Yeah, so I did have to start with people I knew, or somebody I knew might know them, and I'd ask, say, would you talk to your neighbour for me and see, would they meet me, even with you initially, or whatever. Yeah. So I had to kind of go around the houses. So I thought maybe I'd end up doing, if there is something in it, maybe it'll be a radio documentary, or maybe it'll be, I was doing the radio show at the time for KCLR, so maybe, obviously I was taking an interest in a story on my own patch. I wasn't going to ignore it, because I knew by the tone in people's voices that it was quite serious, that it wasn't like the normal thing, that whatever it was, they were really reluctant to share it. And that made me very interested in it, because I felt like it was an open secret, that the way people were looking at each other when I'd come in and I'd ask, and there was always certain things I thought I was missing and information I was missing. And then, very strangely, I started to wonder, and I'm not one for talking to the universe. I know you're great, Shannon. Sorry, I hope you don't mind me saying
No, I
this.
love my crystals and my universe.
You love, and maybe there's something in it, Shannon.
Bit of manifesting.
Maybe there is, because I started to wonder, what am I at here? Do you know, what am I doing? Because I kind of knew I was backing out really of KCLR, and I had plans in place that I was hoping to pursue other things. So I thought, here I am getting dragged back into a story. And I was in college upskilling at the time. I went back to Trinity, came to Kilkenny, and I was doing a course. And I thought, like, look at, here I am getting dragged back into media and stories again. And I'm trying to move away from it. But I thought, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go with this? And a good friend of mine in Kilkenny got in touch with me. And he told me that a publisher was looking for a journalist to write a book, because this story had started to emerge. Now, he wasn't named at this stage, but about a GA superstar conning people out of money and saying he had cancer. So we're moving on a few months now. He hadn't been arrested at this stage. So Murray Press, they had lots of foresight. They're a small publishing company in Newbridge, and they were looking around. And I think they did actually approach some sports journalists, but they didn't have any success. And they came to me, and I met them then. But I was introduced to them through a friend. And they asked me, look, would I be interested, because I had a heads up. But then I had an interest in the story also, I should say, because back when I mentioned the early days of reporting, so I worked for the Irish Independent, or the Independent group at the time. So the Irish Independent was my main paper, but I'd have to file for the Herald and sometimes the Sunday Independent as well. Right, yeah. So I would have written about DJ Carey in the Celtic Tiger years. And kind of more so the end of that when the crash came and Sarah Newman, and when he had health issues. I even wrote a front page about when he had blood clots on his brain. Because he was telling people at the time he had been to America for surgery, and actually have a front page hanging up in my bathroom at home from years ago where it was about DJ's clots on his brain.
Wow. What's the most challenging part of the book? Writing it. Like,
Writing it,
is,
yeah.
do you know, is it actually believing that he do this?
No, the writing is not. You see, I never think about the writing because when you're a news journalist, you're generally we write very fast. We're not like literary talents, being honest with you, Papa. We're very like, just get it down, keep it simple, tell the story, right? So
Right.
the writing never, thankfully, doesn't frighten me, although, yeah, you'd be going back and forth and tweaking it with your editor and polishing it or whatever. But it was actually substantiating the fraud, because I know as a journalist, you have to, accuracy is everything. And
Yeah.
also you have to have sources that will go on the record. And for the first couple of years, most of my sources were not on the record. So that makes it really difficult. So I kept meeting people and gathering. But then once DJ pleaded guilty as well, things change.
Massively.
Yeah.
And my phone all of a sudden was hopping. And lots
Yeah.
of people that were shutting the door. Maybe the door was suddenly ajar and the door was open again.
To a lot of people, though, I think it's a I can remember when it broke. It's such a, I don't want to say scandal, but it was, right? But did you find yourself, because these stories, they are devastating about the people that were conned out of this money and were genuinely devastated for
Yeah.
them. Did you find yourself getting that bit emotionally invested? Like, was it hard to kind of disconnect that side? Because you said a lot of the people you knew. So there
Some
would have
of
been,
them I
do you
did,
know, or some
yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
So you would have felt really sorry for those people and been devastated for those. Like, did you find yourself emotionally invested in the book or writing the book and trying to get this information? I know you didn't start out writing the book, but with the information, was it hard to not get emotionally involved in it?
I think, look, being honest with you, I get emotionally involved in everything I do. I'd love to say I don't. Like,
Yeah.
I have so much admiration for people that can separate their life and their work. I'm just not one of those people. Unfortunately for me, I tend to put everything is almost in a ball. Do you know what I mean? As in, I'm not sure when I'm on, I'm not sure when I'm off. I'm
Right.
always thinking about my story. That's just being honest with you. Even when I'm winding down, or I was in the spa or wherever, when I was trying to empty my head, I'd be thinking about, okay, when am I going to get back into Wi-Fi here? Did anyone contact me? It's just I am invested in the story, yes, and it definitely impacts. And that's probably, I'm getting better at switching off at times, but I have never cracked that.
What's
Still
the
striving. I'd
Hey.
love to one day, but that's probably why I'm not a full-time journalist anymore. It's
Yeah.
it's probably better for me not to be.
We're doing essays and work on, like, at the moment, but we're being taught this Gibbs effect. You ever heard this?
No.
No, so you're basically writing stories, and it's a proper way to write a story. Going back, like so you'd write a story of what you feel, so after looking at a video. But now it's like start, how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
A 6 or 7 step process, and then when you just do it in sections, you're like, how did I bang out 600 words there? Which you would in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Do you know? It's just, and then obviously you're a journalist and you're really good at
But
writing.
it's funny, I don't go to any of those like
Do you not?
creative writing workshops. Oh, I
Yeah.
couldn't think of anything worse. Is
No.
that terrible?
Well, no, well, it's
No.
not. I don't go to them. I have to do it through work.
Now,
but yeah,
It probably would be good for
Yeah.
me, but I wouldn't have the patience, even sitting through a yoga class and like
would you not do anything like
no, terrible. And I'm looking forward to starting a Pilates class soon. I keep trying to do these things, but I find with writing, you see, when you're a reporter, you write every day of your life. It's like a muscle. So you're a muscle. You've been flexing it so much over the years that it's like you could, you know, it's kind of second nature.
that?
But again, like I say, it's different though. It's not special prose or anything like that. It's facts.
Yeah.
And other people are telling the story for me. And I love chatting to people in the interviews. And when you're saying, like, do you get emotional? You definitely get a connection with
Yeah.
people. I do. And I think about them afterwards, like, and I end up making friends with lots of them or staying in touch with people over the years. People I've done stories on, people I've worked with on stories. Like, it is great for meeting interesting people. But they tell the story with their language and their words as well, because you can hear their voice coming across.
Yeah.
Different characters and personalities, and sometimes, like I think the text messages that were sent to DJ in his interactions with people, like some of the things people would say to him, I can hear their voice in it, like, stop making a cunt to me now, DJ.
Yeah.
You know, I want my money back now, and different things, the back and the forth. I found that was telling me something, you know, about the story.
Were you surprised by the reaction to the book? Like, is he still a god in Kilkenny in certain parts?
Yes,
Did
but
you
that
get
doesn't surprise me.
No, I'm
No.
not surprised at that.
Yeah.
How would it towards you now? People, but just genuine hurling fans out there will do not believe this happened.
I think they know it did. I just think they're really hurt.
Yeah, that's a very accurate description, I'd say.
They don't want to talk about it, but I don't blame them because, or I'm not annoyed about that, or I'm not surprised at that, because being honest with you, Papa, if there was a book on the table about my hero, my all-time greatest hero and all these things, would I want to read it? Probably not.
Very accurate, yeah.
Do you know, but that doesn't mean that we turn a blind eye when something has happened and it wasn't just about the money. The money is minor, even though it's not minor, it's a significant sum of money, but it's minor in comparison to the betrayal. The part of the story, I think, that is significant is that he honed in on people who loved him, and he took advantage of people with a reputation.
Yeah.
So I can see how, and from years of working even in local radio, people get a massive connection with somebody, and people could take advantage of people in a situation where if you have profile, you have access to all these people who trust you, who believe every word you say, who hang on your every word. So I feel like taking advantage of people like that, that's not something you can ignore.
No, but there's also the fact that he's such a high profile person. And the last thing you think is he's not struggling for money. Like, he was the best hurler in the country at the time.
Yeah.
Throwing sponsorship at him, free cars. He was ambassadors for major golf courses at the time. His job was just to treat people. You come up onto the golf course and just, I play around you're playing around with DJ Carey, and he's like a guide around the golf course. And for people to hear this, like the one with the mobile phone cable, that's the one that's sick. That's not right, like. Up his nose, like, that's crazy stuff.
Now, obviously, he went to the depths of desperation.
That was,
and people will get creative when they're deep into fraud, and when they're desperate for money, and when they're really motivated and addicted to getting more money for various reasons.
Yes, it's a tough one.
Did you expect it to do as well as it did? Because it did amazing. Like, it's a bestseller. Did you expect it? No, you're going to be modest and say, no, I didn't. But did you expect it to do that well?
Tell us the truth, Emma, come on.
I knew there'd be massive interest in his story because I think because he was so well known and he was so well liked, and we were so floored by what transpired. And I knew that there was a lot of detail that was interesting, that I found interesting. So I thought that there would be interest in the story, all right. But I was very nervous putting it out there, because with any story, genuinely any story, that's a serious news story, I find it hard to sleep at night sometimes when you're in the thick of it, when you're in the middle of it. You worry about it, trying to make sure that you've been fair to everybody, that you've checked everything, that you've done the best job you can possibly do. So I think I certainly didn't expect it to get to be as well received and to get great reviews. I thought that was something, maybe it's a journalist thing. I was thinking, oh God, I'll probably get trash now in the reviews, because and that might hurt. I'd love to say it wouldn't, but actually it might hurt because that's the professional thing, that I read the paper and I'd be interested in reading reviews and that kind of thing. But it did better than I expected in terms of the reviews. I thought that there would be interest in it, all right. Definitely didn't think it would go as well as it did.
You must be super proud of yourself for doing it, are you? After, like you said, hopefully a few minutes ago, that you did a book before that and it was an absolute disaster.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
Yeah. Well, I didn't.
They were her exact
No,
words.
that's-
But, you know,
It's either really good or it's a disaster, isn't it? So it's one or the other, yeah.
But I learned a lot from it. I
Yeah.
learned don't self-publish again, whatever you do.
No,
Get
no.
a publisher.
Oh, well, yeah. I
Lots of
wasn't having
people
a
are
dig at you, right?
successful at self-publishing, but not me. No, like, I don't think about it that much. Very strange. I know you probably think I'm only saying that, but I don't think about, oh, well done. I always think about, oh, what you do next.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hard on myself.
Yeah.
So I'd be thinking about, right, because that's the way news is.
Yeah.
You've done one thing and it's now, what am I going to focus on now? So I'm on to the next job or the next whatever it is. So I don't dwell on it too much. But I think it was hard on my family, though. Definitely hard because I was so immersed in it. So I wouldn't be jumping to do another book.
Would you not?
No, I take my time. I would never say never. Sorry, Alan.
Yeah.
Because there is something about, about stories and all of that. So, of course, I'm interested in it, but I wouldn't be rushing into it.
I'll finish it on this on the book, that I don't think it's an accurate description of the figures. I think there's more people got conned that won't come forward.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know, I think there's a lot more money involved in the figures that they said.
In court.
Officially, is that? Yeah. What was the figure officially?
So
In around.
So over 300,000.
Yeah,
well
I think
over.
it's way more than that.
Yeah.
But as I said, there's a lot of people that won't come forward.
So in the book, I thought, based on my research and talking to people, I said I don't think 2 million is wide off the mark.
I wouldn't think so, no.
But who knows? I think the sky's the limit. Only one person can answer that.
No, that's it, yeah.
That's true. So then you went from, well, obviously it was all kind of cohesive, it was all the one, but where did Eimear.ie come from? Because this was obviously, you mentioned earlier, you had your next steps in plan, you're always looking for the next thing. So where did Eimear.ie come from?
Well, I went back to college. I'd forgotten how much I love education and being a nerd again. So I do actually love reading and writing and learning stuff. And I just completely forgotten about it. Do you know the way? And you get carried away with life. And I had a surprise pregnancy at 30. And that kind of maybe derailed me a little bit. It was the best thing ever in terms of, like, family life is amazing. And I would have always maybe thought I'd go back and do a master's or I'd go back to college. But life got busy with work. Say, I left college with a degree in journalism. I was probably 21. Maybe I was young enough, 20 or 21, and I was already at that stage. Really, college was nearly getting in the way of journalism because I was flat out working in different media outlets.
Yeah.
And I was a runner on the Last Word at one stage. When I was in college, I was freelancing as well with articles and whatnot. I was in and out to the Nationalist as well. And then when I came back to Carlow, I was in KCLR. The first stint I did in KCLR for a little while, maybe a year and a half or 2 years I was there. But sorry, to go back to the Eimear.ie thing, I decided then Roisha was about 10, was getting a little bit older, and I thought, I need to figure out my plan, because the radio was amazing for family life, for structure, to know when your shift starts and ends roughly. Now, you're always kind of, with news, and you'd know, Shannon, the public can find you all the time. So you're answering Facebook messages while you're cooking the dinner and people are ringing you at 8 o'clock every evening. And it never bothered me. Like, it's just part of media. So, and you don't always have to answer. So that was always there. But it gave me a lovely kind of structure and normality. It wasn't like hard news and courts and inquests and crime and all that. So I call that my child rearing phase, kind of. So from when I was 30 to 40 in KCLR, and I started to look around, and to be honest with you, I was getting a little bit bored.
Yeah.
Because news is so cyclical, and it's a fantastic job, and it's very interesting. But if you're doing the very same stories year in, year out in the same chair, and it's like it's September, we're back to school. In August, there'll be the scramble for school bus tickets. Government still hasn't sorted it out.
No.
Yeah.
Like, you
it's
get
repeating.
weary from it.
Yeah.
And then you're on to the ploughing championships. That's great, but you'll be coming up to the budget then, and people will be giving out about the government and what's happening with the budget and blah, blah, blah. So I started to think, right, there has to be, I need to figure out what my next plan is here. And also, media is in flux. It's in turmoil because all the competition from Meta and for advertising revenue, that it's driven the rate way down. So now traditional media and traditional journalists like me are doing way more for way less. So we used to be paid, like most journalists basically they were better off 20 years ago, and they're doing way more now.
Right.
And that's a fact, like for a lot of them, right? So I started to think the problem isn't the industry, because at times I'd be thinking, geez, this industry, like it was never easy, but it was getting really, really tough. And I thought, I'm the problem. I can change more easily than it can change, because I can be more agile. I'm just one person. So what do I need to do? So I was doing an interview on the radio with a group that came in from the Design and Crafts Council of Ireland that were bringing a course to Trinity, and they started talking about it. Now, to be honest with you, I was kind of raising an eyebrow before they came on, thinking, this is very highfalutin. What's this course called? What's this all about? Like creative cultural entrepreneurship. I thought there's nothing in this for me.
Yeah.
But they started talking, and I started listening to what they were saying. And remember, creative, cultural and entrepreneurship business, basically. And all the things I love, like culture, the Irish language, creative stuff, the media, it was ticking all the boxes. It just was a little bit off-putting, maybe the title.
Yeah. Didn't roll off the tongue.
No, and it was basically to help creatives make a living, to help creative people. So that could be somebody in the arts, the media, it could be a watch designer, a jewellery maker. There was all different people in the class. And the fact that you could get this qualification from Trinity, but you could do it in Kilkenny, where I was already working. And if there's a Springboard or brilliant programme, so you get to do a course through them. And I mean, I think it cost something like 350 quid because I was a PAYE employee, instead of it should cost maybe thousands to do a course like that. So it was very accessible. It was very easy. It was 2 nights a week in Kilkenny. And I felt a little bit selfish wanting to do it, because I should be home, like, you know, making the dinner and all of that. But Alan's great and we're a team. And so I told him, I'm kind of interested in this. And he said, do it. Just do it.
He supported you.
Oh yeah, he does loads of stuff. He's really proactive. He's like, you spend too much time thinking. Just go and do it. So he's very good for that. So on I went. And actually that's when I realised all the little plans I had in my head, I put them on paper. And all of a sudden I had a business plan. And all of a sudden I'd signed up clients. And I knew exactly what I was going to do. And I hadn't even left work. It was coming together.
Right.
And then I was like, right. So I hit the ground running. So it was great.
It's very much so. What's for you won't pass you, won't it? If it's built up, you said it.
Do you believe in that, Shannon?
Oh, I'm very spiritual. What's for you won't pass you.
She is, isn't she?
But do you know what it is? It's coming from someone as well who's so many years in the industry, and obviously you can mentor and guide people as such. Now, I know from dealing with a lot of people in the media, some mistakes people make in the media, but what do you think is the biggest mistake people who aren't really media trained are making, do you reckon, when they're dealing with the media?
They don't care enough about what's going on around them. They don't read the papers. And people, this might sound mad, but there's loads of journalism students that don't listen to the news, don't watch the news, and don't read the papers. So I know this is a really fundamental thing, but why are you going into media if you have no real interest
You
in
can't
the
be on the
news?
clock for media, can you? Because the news doesn't stop.
Yeah, because if you don't like it, imagine that'd be like trying to make me a mathematician. And like, I couldn't think of anything worse than sitting there doing fractions and algebra. I mean, 6th class homework is tough enough for me now at the moment. I'm under pressure with Goffel and Matha.
Yeah.
3 Gaeilge, I'll tell you. But no, I find that's the big thing I see with them. You need to do what you love. So I didn't know journalism was going to be, say, straight away. It was kind of more through good teachers guiding me, saying, listen, with all your interests, would you look at that journalism course in DCU, you know? But I wouldn't have known straight off that's what I wanted to do. But if you look at your interests, it'll bring you to whatever. So when I looked, okay, so I love writing, history, English, all those things, it makes sense. So I think people should try and lean into what they enjoy, because then they'll be able to do it every day.
Yeah, I think there's no fear of trying everything too, because Especially with local radio when we try, because when you go in there, Eimear is actually the reason I got into local radio, believe it or not.
Ooh, I
me-
can't
No,
say
your
the
dad
funny.
is. Your
my dad.
Your dad saved me in boot camp one night.
Oh, Joe, did he?
Do I
No
just
better
say-
man.
More than one
No
night.
better man, yeah.
He was like,
Keep
"Come
going,
here."
Eimear. Keep
Oh,
going.
he's a
I need to go
determined man.
back, Joe.
Play soccer with Joe.
He was like, do you know, I have a daughter home now. She's wrecking my head. Come here, can you do anything for her? She did. You did something for me. It's the start
I
of it
know
all.
you did something for yourself.
But-
Fair play, because you did loads of work experience,
Yeah.
and that's another thing. Work experience.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Unfortunately.
You have to try it, and this is the thing: people wanting money straight off the bat. There's no money straight off the bat. I think you have to just work for it first and get the taste for it, and then you get the bite.
It's a sense of familiarisation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Big time you have to get.
I think you get the bug for it then, and then you want to go with it. But I think trying out different areas to know what you like, because I did try news, and I wasn't someone who watched the news or listened to the news all the time. I just didn't enjoy it, so there was no point in me ever trying to do news. Then, do you know what I mean? And you learn then from doing that it wasn't
Yeah, I'd
very.
say that.
Would you have a flair for production and technical
Yeah.
stuff as well? And there's a lot of tech stuff in radio, so doing what you're good at and what you enjoy,
Yeah.
definitely.
Why do so many people fear media interviews?
Because we're really scary and intense.
Oh, yeah. Jesus, you haven't given me that impression at all.
It's the
I
microphones.
give loads of people that impression. I love that. I'm only messing. No, I think public speaking is one of the things that people fear the most.
Yeah.
And I can actually understand it, because even though I do it all the time, I never think it's natural. It's kind of an unnatural thing, whether you're in front of a microphone or you're getting up in front of an audience in the visual or sitting in the TV studio with the lights on. But imagine for an awful lot of people, honest to God, they would say to me, "Oh, Eimear, I would sooner run a marathon, or I'd sooner jump into a pool of alligators." And like, I nearly believe them,
Yeah.
that it is, people are so fearful of it. And I think they just fear it because,
Is it a fear of making a mistake?
yeah, I think they overthink it maybe.
Mm.
And the hardest person to be is yourself.
Yeah.
When you're thinking like that.
Yeah. And I think it takes a lot of confidence maybe and practice to just relax a bit and try and be yourself.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like we did our first live show in Scraggs, Shelton Podge, and it was like, to say it sold out, but there was only close to 100 people maybe there, but that's all
That's
it was for
amazing.
insurance purposes. But I would class myself a confident person. Podge would be the same, a little bit shyer maybe, but he's unbelievable at dragging questions out of people. But we made so many mistakes that night because we were overthinking it maybe. And then the second time we done it, we were miles better. And then we did the CK dinner dance. We were miles better at that.
Practice.
And every time you're
Yeah.
going up a level, you're more comfortable. Yes, we've done this before. Where the first time you're just, hope I say this right, or hope I do this right. It's not easy, like standing in front of people.
No.
Because
definitely
genuinely,
not.
you're standing on the stage, and I don't remember who's in the audience that time. And there's only 75 people there.
I'd be the same.
Yeah.
I'd look at
Yeah.
and I'd kind of,
I don't know what it is, whether it's the light shining on you, or you're just thinking a different way.
and you don't sometimes remember what you say. You
No.
just go on autopilot,
No.
which
Yeah.
is a bit frightening.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
only thing I tell people I suppose this reassures them in one way, and another way it mightn't, because I tell them it doesn't necessarily get easier, but you get more, you just throw yourself into it anyway. So I say, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? Because each time somebody comes away, they gain something else from it. People can be buzzing after it. So just little small techniques like breathing, like taking your few deep breaths, slowing down. You'll notice sometimes I talk a little bit slower, because it'll give you time to catch up, or maybe to think about what you're going to say next or whatever. Especially on the radio, I found the radio helpful with that.
Yeah.
Because you were multitasking, and it's like being an air traffic controller. You're pressing all the buttons,
Right,
engineering the show at the same time as chatting, and you're lining up your next guest on the phone, and
Yeah.
you're trying to listen to the person talking as well. So there's little things you do to slow yourself down, and your brain is much better when you give it a chance and you slow down, you take your breath.
Brilliant.
Million tips. Come here. After I've done
bit
too much
of
talking today between the podcast and the radio show. Through all your years in journalism and just your years in media, full stop, is there one story? Now, obviously, DJ Carey's story was a big one. You wrote a book on it. But other than that, is there one story that really sticks with you?
Yes.
Oh,
I
go
have to
on.
bring the first book into it now.
The bestseller, the other bestseller.
Oh, yeah. The bestseller. We might get to bestseller yet.
Sorry,
now after
Mammy,
this.
there's still a box of them in her hot press. I moved to Moneygall to wait for Obama to arrive in Ireland in 2011. So I found out about 3 months before Obama was coming that I thought Obama was going to come to Ireland. It hadn't been officially confirmed. So I rented the only bedsit that was available to rent in the village, and I moved there. Moved all my stuff, moved everything there and moved in. So that's what I say when I get a bit obsessive on a story.
Goodness me.
Because I had been following the story of Barack Obama since he was senator. I was working in a newspaper in Tipperary when Canon Stephen Neal, actually you know his brother Andy Neal, the Garda in Kilkenny.
I do.
They're a lovely family, but Canon Stephen Neal, a Church of Ireland rector, contacted me when I was working in the Tip Voice. I was editing a little local newspaper down there. And sometimes people contact you about a story, and I know this is terrible and we shouldn't admit this, but you're like, oh God, do you know, maybe it's 4 or 5 o'clock on a Friday and you're thinking, I have church records. I found the ancestral records, Barack Obama. And I was like, who's Barack Obama?
Go away.
Now, to be fair, Stephen was lovely and he was persistent as well. So he contacted me and said, listen, I think you're going to love this story. This fella's huge in the States.
Yeah.
And he has a link to the locality. So you'll get a story there for the Tip Voice because it was kind of on the Tip Offaly border.
Yeah.
And he said, look, I'll show you the baptismal records. And they go back to his third great grandfather, Fulmouth Carney and all this, right? So I was in contact with Stephen about Barack Obama. I can't remember what year that was. Was it 2006 or 2007? And fast forward to 2011, he's the president of the United States of America. And I hear he's coming to Ireland to meet his long lost relations. To his ancestral home in Moneygall. So I didn't want to cover the story. I was working for the Irish Independent by 2011, but I didn't want to cover the story as part of the official pack, because what happens when you're in a big paper like the Indo or in any of the big media outlets, you have to go through accreditation.
Yeah.
So if there's a state visit, you get your badge, you get bussed in from Ross Gray, you watch most of it on a television screen. There's a small pack of you that would maybe walk behind him, and you mightn't hear much, you mightn't see much. And the photographs for the photographer, they're in a pool, you have to share. One guy will get to take pictures. And I said, no, I want to see this man. I want to see his expressions. I want to see Michelle. I want to hear what they're saying to the villagers. I want to be in the middle of it. I want the build-up. I want to see the Secret Service going through the town or the village. I want the helicopter coming in. My friend was a photographer, Jeff Harvey, and I told him about the idea. And I says, why don't we capture the whole thing? So I ended up covering it for so many international outlets, for NPR in the States, was on BBC World. I do regular updates for Hector at the time. He was on the radio, and John Murray. And it was great crack live from the bedsit in Moneygall. So the build up to it and everything. I was the only resident journalist. And for me to tell the story of the most powerful man in the world at the time, basically coming to this little village in Ireland. So I thought it was cool.
That is
some
deadly.
story.
That'd be like me now with Kim Kardashian did her
Kim Kardashian
her
and the
honeymoon
President
in
of
Wexford.
America.
I would have been kid out in Wexford now.
Oh, yeah.
My bed's sitting in Wexford.
I'm
for-
weird.
No,
I'm
she went to that really fancy hotel, didn't she? Was it Ballyfin?
I don't know, but her and Kanye West going around Wexford, I thought was gas. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Wexford is the
Yeah.
place.
They did their
And
honeymoon.
Ed Sheeran.
In Wexford.
Yes, well, they did Ireland, but their big stop I think was Wexford.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
Trying to get close to you, weren't you?
I think so. I think she caught wind, did she? That I was tired.
I'm amazed by all that Secret Service stuff.
It's deadly,
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Like,
It was so cool. And they
Yeah.
actually brought sniffer dogs up to the bedsit and everything because they were wondering when they found out, journalist in the village, do you know, what's going on?
but the car is even
Because the
bomb-proof.
fact that I wasn't with the pack, but
Yeah.
I explained to them, look, I
Yeah.
moved here, I live here, this is my home. So they were like, well, don't jump that banner now or whatever, the barrier or anything. I said, no, we'll be grand. So basically, I got to watch with the village,
The locals,
the
like, yeah.
locals, and we were on the ground, but we were so close to him that he came up along and talked to everybody. So even to hear those interactions, and at the time, there wasn't many iPhones. Like one person in
Yeah.
the village had an iPhone, basically. So I had a BlackBerry. Lots of people, I gave them
BlackBerry, do you remember them?
digital cameras.
Jesus Christ.
2011 only,
Yeah,
yeah.
but like
And
we
you're
were
modern
really,
then with the
I know,
BlackBerry.
I was cool with my purple BlackBerry. So we got photographs. We gave so many digital cameras to people, and even one person was sick, and she was minding maybe somebody was minding her, maybe an older person, or she couldn't come down. So they took photographs from the top bedroom window of their house on the main street. And we set up a Gmail address and got everyone to email their pictures into us to compile them in this souvenir book of Barack Obama's
What did he do?
visit.
Just go around the village, basically. How long did he stay for?
Oh, it was kind of whirlwind in the village. I can't remember exactly. Sure, it wouldn't have been that long, 45 minutes or an hour or something. And there was a helicopter ride in. They even built basically a ramp road so that they had it all planned, the access in and out off the motorway. They built a special little
The
road
detail
down
is
from.
second to none, isn't it?
The detail was unbelievable.
It was
and
so protected. Like.
if you looked up into the hills around Moneygall, even like there were people from the security services that were like trawling, looking for devices and everything in the run up to it.
Isn't that mad?
Pay-wise, he's like, is the Irish president have more money than the American president? Is that right? Or
I don't know what the
Someone told me that
salary is.
before.
I think
That
the basic is at over €220,000 for the Taoiseach.
like, there's
so
way
it's
smaller
possible.
countries. It's just when you say the most powerful man in the world is not the best paid.
Not necessarily
in that field.
but
Yeah. Just very powerful though.
yeah, they
isn't it?
find other ways to make
Yeah.
money though.
It gets you over the weekend anyway, the paycheck.
We'll
would, I'm
finish
sure.
on this one for you, Eimear. We'll cut this out for Alan now if you like, because he mightn't like this one. What's next for you? Another book, or is it Breather first?
Definitely Breather first.
Yeah.
And I have lots of PR campaigns coming up. So I've only last year I did my first bilingual PR campaign. So getting braver, more Irish language in my business. And you never know, I might do a stint in the Gaeltacht again this year.
One leg in,
Back
one
up
leg
again,
out.
the window.
I'll go back to my old Banonchi if I'll be let.
How many languages do you know?
Only Irish and English and a bit of French.
And a bit of French.
Yeah.
That's it. My German was awful. Was terrible at that.
But you know what? Having the Irish is incredible. It really, like when I was in school, and when you're in school, because we had to do it, it wasn't as cool or such. Like, you know, we had to do it. We didn't know any different. And I remember my mum being like, "You will thank me one day for putting you in an Irish school."
Yeah.
And I do now.
Eric,
Do
my
you know what I mean?
nephew Eric was the only. His daughter obviously is in the Irish school now, but Eric was the only child who went to the Welsh school in Gaeltacht. And when I was in the post office, I'd ring him, Eric, what's this name?
Ah.
Because you can't send back a letter if you don't know the name in Irish. You couldn't be wrong. You have to go look for that.
Yeah, you
And
have
there's
to
a
find them.
Big massive book used to have in the office where it used to be translated from Irish to English in regards
Okay.
to surnames or words or whatever it is. But I was like looking into a bowl of frogs. That I have no clue what the word was.
Yeah.
You know.
That's something I have to say about media as well. The foreign fwished, so important. Your sources of media are so important. But people with connections that are great, like the postman, the fireman, people that kind of know everybody in the community. Now, I know it's getting harder now. And you know, things are changing and GDPR and all that stuff now and everything. It's a different world that we're in. But still, the best sources, you have to confirm them
You do,
kind
yeah.
of face to face. And somebody has to say, oh yeah, Eimear lives in that house, or that happened on that street, and postmen are great and post women, post people.
Most people, yeah.
Yeah. So fair play. Keep
Ah,
up
sure.
the good work.
Now, Eimear, are you a fan of quick fire questions?
I'll try.
You try. Right. Well, quick fire questions is brought to you by the Neighbourhood Cafe and Is it Rotisserie? It's not a rotisserie. Is that what they call it? Rotisserie chicken?
Roastery.
Rotisserie chicken on Barrack Street.
Stick with me, Shannon. I'll make you a queen.
Great
Sourcing.
coffee in there. Great
Lovely.
coffee.
Lovely coffee
Yeah.
in there, isn't it? Roasting single origin specialty coffee for cafe, wholesale and retail, making the world a better place, one neighbourhood coffee at a time.
You're miles better than Podge doing
I
that.
know, well, it's been 6 years in radio to do that for me. Anyway, you ready for your quick fire questions? Your first one. Who gets recognised more in Carlow? You or Alan?
Alan.
Yeah, I thought as much. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Your favourite place in Carlow?
Barrow track. I told you I was a townie.
A book you can't stop recommending?
The Dodger.
Good woman.
There's a
yourself,
plug.
Yeah. Do you prefer texting or calling?
Calling.
Yeah. Your go-to comfort food?
Alan's beef stroganoff.
Oh, is it good?
Oh, it's so good. Comfort food is proper creamy and lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
speaking another language.
Okay, what language?
Probably improving the French.
Yeah.
If I could instantly do it, it'd be great.
Be fluent in it. What's one thing you've always wanted to try but haven't?
Oh, always wanted to try but haven't.
Now, it could be a food or it could be an activity. Could be anything.
A bungee jump.
Would you like to do that?
I've always wanted to try it, but I haven't. But I'm not sure, like, if I got up there, how I'd feel. Because I'm not mad about heights, but I love literally throwing myself under a bus.
There's a difference between throwing yourself out a book and throwing yourself off a bridge.
I'd love a bit of excitement. I love a bit of adrenaline.
Yeah.
So I think I would like it.
You are a bit of an adrenaline junkie.
Would you do a parachute jump?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Bungee would scare the life out of me. I'm not saying I'd easily do it, but yeah.
But parachute, not a bother.
I
You
do
do that.
parachute. I've never done it,
But
but
you
I
do it,
would.
not a bother.
I
Yeah.
would.
I'd be more afraid now for a bungee than I would.
I'd want
or
to make
parachute
sure the
than I would.
safety checks
You're going to
were
hit
done
that rock
first.
down there. Bang. Yeah.
Could do a tandem.
Right, well, we have the website mentioned. Do you want to give your website a mention?
Yeah, let's
It's
give
nothing
it
to
a
do
mention.
with me.
Yeah. Lads, there's a quick reminder about our website. You can catch us on all the past episodes. Keep up with what's new. And there's a new newsletter on the way. I think Podge is looking after that, is he? He mentions it every week.
Yeah.
Check it out at www.howishe.ie and have a look around. Shannon, curveball?
Yeah, well, usually Eimear, we do a curveball with Podge. It's in part when I come in the show,
This
right?
is good.
But since I've taken over Podge's position, I said, we'll keep with it, right? So basically, I'll come in with a random question. The lads wouldn't have a clue what it is. You will be my Podge today. We'll throw you in. Usually the guest doesn't get a say in it, but you're such a fab guest. We'll throw you in on it. They don't know what it is.
No.
They haven't a clue. They never get it, and then I hit them with it.
Okay.
It can be anything at all. I like today's one though, okay?
The answers to previous ones are mental, aren't they?
They're a bit mad. You come out with anything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more concerned about them than they are about me with this part, to be honest with you. Okay, your question for today. Did your sponsor mention?
Yeah.
Go on.
Shannon's
Who's
curveball
sponsoring?
is kindly sponsored by Brew with 3 Ws.ie. Your go-to place for website, design, marketing and content creation. Craig is based in Carlow too. Shannon, we can get to partner with some excellent companies here, and excuse the pun here, folk, but our website is in safe hands of our own Craig Carney, the legend that he is. Roll the dice, Shannon.
Right. If you could send younger you a 30-second voice note right now, what would you warn them about?
What would I warn them about?
What would you warn them about?
For me, I would say be careful of the impact of social media
Okay.
that is after overtaking the world.
Right.
That's good advice.
Don't get wrapped up in it.
Is there anything personally you would warn them about?
Get more educated.
Okay.
I wish I paid more attention in school. Even though I
Okay.
did all right for myself.
Yeah.
I think I've the capabilities to be more educated than what I am. But I'm at the age I am now. I'm not going to go any. I've changed jobs, but that's hard work rather than education.
No, but you're upskilling.
Yeah, I'm upskilling, yeah.
Yeah.
But you definitely could still go back to education anytime you want.
Mm.
Honestly, I was in my
Yeah.
course, there was people over 70 with us.
Isn't
Do
that
you know?
amazing?
Is there really?
People from their 20s to their 70s. I was somewhere in the middle, but we were all great pals. Best thing ever. Great crack, like.
Yeah. I think that's the advice. 30 seconds. Careful of social media and stay in education.
Okay, that's good.
And yeah, that would be me.
Yeah? What about you, Eimear?
There's lots of things I'd say that I couldn't say on this.
You can say what you want here.
Genuinely, but I will give you a little because you have to give away something.
Go on.
I would say do not take that promotion when you're 25. Say no and stay where you are. So it was big money, big change, moved to Dublin, all that. But I'd say don't do it. Stay where you
Sort of
are.
like be careful what you wish for.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's a slippery pole in the national media.
I'd say that. Yeah.
It really is. So I would have said stay as a reporter for a bit longer and stay with what you're doing.
Do you think life experience is very important in that? Like 25 is a bit too young, you're saying?
Yeah, I think
You better serve the job a little bit older.
like don't be so hard on yourself and I'm always in a hurry. Slow down.
Mm.
And the social media thing is really interesting actually with the phone and all of that stuff. So definitely I'd approach all that differently as well.
Yeah.
We'd be trying to pack a lot into that 30-second voice.
Wouldn't
No,
you? You'd be
I'd have to
talking like
name
that.
a lot of ex-boyfriends as well. I'd definitely run out of time on the 30 seconds.
I'll give you 40 seconds. All right, you can do 40 seconds.
30 minutes, I'd need it.
I'd have to mention the name of the husband so I could find him sooner and not have to go through all the hardship. But then that poor man, he would have had an extra 20 years of me. So
You'd love to
He's
be,
like a grand
so
now.
maybe we're better off.
Yeah. Find yourself or shit at the right time.
you'd like to
I'd
be a
say.
penguin. Penguin is only one part in their life, don't they?
Ah, that's right.
But
Yeah.
to kiss all the frogs to get to your prince, Eimear, you know what they say?
Oh yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah.
Trying to get you in the good
Shannon
books
has
now.
to twist it. I was trying to be nice there with the penguin.
Yeah, well, she had to go. She can't do that. Right.
The poor frogs are traumatised.
Poor frogs.
Poor frogs. Mine would be not to trust everyone. I was so trusting growing up. I still am.
Trustworthy, were you?
Oh, I trust everyone.
Oh, did you?
My poor mum would always be like, don't trust everyone. But I would trust everyone.
You didn't see any faults.
Didn't see it. Because I thought everyone was like me. You see, this is the thing. Not everyone is like me. And that's the advice I give. Because I thought everyone would act in a situation the way I would act. Or people wouldn't betray you. Because I wouldn't betray people. So I was very trusting.
Wow.
And then I was burned so many times because...
You'd be brilliant on the
Yeah.
traitors if there's ever a casting call.
Do you think?
Oh yeah, because
Shannon.
somebody
brilliant,
would
wouldn't she? Yeah.
hurt poor Shannon. We'd be able to all watch. That's terrible. But
hard. She
Shannon's so
wouldn't do that.
lovely. You have a heart of gold.
But this is the thing.
But those
too nice.
traitors will get to you.
Do you think you're
Oh,
too nice?
If I went on the traitors, I would be devastated. I'd be crying within 2 minutes.
But you're not soft, Shannon.
I'm soft until I'm not. That's my thing. I'm soft until I'm not soft.
Then get out of the way.
When I'm not soft, I'm not soft. But I am. I'm very soft.
Yeah, I would say, like, you're sensitive to emotions, to other
Very
people's
much so,
emotions.
yeah.
But I wouldn't describe you as soft. I'd say you're able to handle yourself.
Yeah, once there's a line. Do you know what I mean? Once I'm pushed to it, there's no. But I wouldn't trust everyone. That's my big thing.
Well
Too
done,
trusting.
Shannon.
Yeah.
That's it for the, what do we call that?
Shannon's
Shannon's
curveball.
curveball, that thing,
It's only
yeah.
going for a
I
while,
get
but yeah.
confused here with Podge sometimes.
Well, Shinny.
Sinead.
Yeah, she's very good at it. She comes in with brilliant questions and we genuinely don't know what they are and just like your mind goes rapid real quick and like, what do I have to think of here? Like
Brilliant.
so many good ones. Again, we'll give a sponsor mention here, Shannon. This episode is proudly sponsored by Carroll Estimating for all your construction, tendering, estimating needs. Check them out at carrollestimating.ie and all their social channels. Anything for Eimear before we go?
I just love Eimear. I think she's brilliant. I
Yeah.
always have. I
Got you
always
into it.
have.
Well, thanks to the two of you, Gurmila Mahagwif,
Yeah, I
for
think
listening to me.
I know what that means, so I'm okay with
She's
that.
doing he's doing all right. He's learning. I
Yeah.
think Eimear is such. Do you know what I think, Eimear, you are the epitome of working hard and getting to where you are from working, as in not having things handed to you and working for what you have. And I think she just, that's it. I just think you're very much so.
I had a lot of opportunities though as well. You know my
That you worked
parents.
for.
I'm surprised you don't have a golf stick in your hand.
Oh yeah, definitely don't. I'm allergic.
No.
Totally. No.
No interest whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
Wow.
No. I would have been more into camogie now than golf, but I'm not that good at camogie either. But no, but I had loads of opportunities thanks to family and stuff. But I love Carlo as well. I'm very rooted in Carlo. Do you know the way some people have massive ambitions to go everywhere and live abroad? And I think I got a good bit of stuff out of my system
Yeah.
early on. So, yeah.
For me, I used to drive around the post van and I used to turn you on a KCLR. And sometimes you turn off and you listen to music when times that humour is in, but it depends on the story that was coming up as well.
Yeah.
Where if it was a really high profile person you just speak to, I'd say, let her off now. Let her do her job. Do you know what I mean? And you didn't care what you said to them or what you asked them. You were willing to hurt their feelings and to deflect it sometimes on it, on different stories. And I was like, that is brilliant at her job.
Yeah.
And like, if it was a normal story, whatever way you want to call a normal story, I would say there's just Eimear being Eimear, but it was like the big stories were like you were brilliant at. And that is a trait I think you have. And that's where you're going, where you are in the world at the moment.
Only going to Hackettstown, lads.
Yeah, well,
Very grounded.
no, but you're after like the book is a statement in itself. You've done a fantastic job in that.
Yeah.
And
Well done yourselves on the podcast as well. The studio is cool.
I've done
Carol
Lovely,
did.
yeah.
Carol Estimating did a lovely job on
It
it.
is a great
They
one,
did
yeah.
indeed.
Paddy
Keep
brought
the
me
lads
in for a
check.
tour in the early days of it. And
Did he? Yeah.
He did,
Yeah.
yeah, and really impressed with it.
Brilliant.
Good
I'll
setup.
take all Podge's credit today.
Well, sure,
For
look,
the podcast.
the ratings are going to go through it into the YouTube ones anyway.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, we're not allowed to say things like that anymore. We'll be
2026,
cancelled if we
guys.
comment
Oh,
on
yeah,
how
okay, all
beautiful
right.
Shannon is.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, that's it. Thanks, Eimear, for coming in. And Shannon, obviously, we're jumping in with
Cheers, Papa.
instead of Podge. It's an absolute pleasure to sit beside you rather than, do you know what I mean, my other friend.
Poor Podge.
Yeah, poor Podge. Podge understands. Me and Podge have a wicked relationship. That's it for this episode of the How Was He podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, follow and share. We're on all podcasts and social platforms. And as always, I never quite say this, Shannon. And as always, it's not my podcast. It's not Shannon's podcast either.
Oh.
It's Carol's podcast. It's your podcast. Good luck and God bless. Until next week, folks. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eimear.
Thank you.
That's full time on this week's episode of the How Is He podcast. Available on all podcasting platforms. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter/X. Proudly sponsored by Amplify. Got a story to tell? A voice that needs to be heard? Get in touch with us here in Amplify, Carlow Town's professional home for podcasters of all kinds. We can be found on Instagram at Amplify Podcast Studio. Amplify, power up your podcast.